Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mowers will practically build themselves. Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. Today, I want to work on one of my World of Tanks. You're welcome. Sorry, one of my World of Tanks models. And today, well, we're going to work on the Hollenhund, the Hellhound. Okay, it's it's the M41. We're going to use the Tamiya M41, and we are going to build us a Hollenhund, which is one of the monster tanks for the Halloween time. So, without further ado, let's get started and see how this Hollenhund turns out. So a couple of years ago around Halloween, this black M41 shows up on the battlefield called the Hollenhund, and I thought it was kind of neat looking, kind of with the skulls and the chain and all that kind of stuff. But what I thought was really cool is it had the 90mm gun instead of the 76. So definitely something you can go after a tiger with. So I have to build one of these, and the kit is readily available. An M41 Walker Bulldog from Tamiya. It's 12-13 bucks. I mean, very inexpensive, very simple kit, very easy to build, but it actually turns out pretty nice. It comes with U.S. markings for Vietnam. It also comes with some Japanese self-defense markings. Anyway, so we're going to use the basic kit, but we are going to change the barrel on it. And for the barrel, I have a 90mm. I have several of them actually from some of my Pershing kits. This particular one was one I'd already built, cut off of a Pershing. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. You can see where I've kind of made out of some stock styrene piece to put into the back, so I can just pop it right into the turret. You can see the difference between the 76 that comes in the kit and this 90 that I'm going to use. It is a little bit shorter barrel. Like I said, this is one I took off of another project that was a Pacific Sherman or something that I had done. Anyway, I had cut this off there. Now, in the game, it has a different muzzle brake, but I didn't have anything like that, and I chose not to make a custom one. So for the chains, I've got these. These came off of a 25th scale tow truck, nice and shiny and pretty. Well, we're going to have to change that real quick. I wanted something that looked like a good chain, and this seemed to be the best that I could find. I have other types of chain, but really I like this stuff. So I took some burnt sienna from Tester's Model Master and painted up my chain, and I also mixed some Mars Brown, kind of a rusty not a pastel but a pigment that I have, and you can see it's not looking too bad. Kind of gives you that rusty chain look. After mixing some of that into the paint, and once it dried, then I went ahead and went over it with the pigment as well. So for the spikes that are all over this thing, I went ahead and mixed up some milliput, and I'm using the blue. I can't remember how fast this stuff is. Anyway, it's the one that comes in the blue container. So you've got part blue, part white, mixed 50-50. Knead it together for a few minutes, and then roll it out. And you wind up actually making a whole lot more than you really need, because when you start rolling these things out, you can see they come out pretty small, but effective, very effective. And you can see here they are on the tank. They actually look pretty close to the ones that are in the game. Now, for this skull figure, I've had a hard time finding good skull figures. This is just an old, from the 1950s, an overscaled figurine that I found that I cut the head off and did some work with the Dremel tool, and yes, it is way too big for what I'm doing, but hey, it's okay. So for the color on the tank, I used some Polyscale Engine Black. This is a very nice flat black that I use on some of these different projects. I don't know if you can still get this polyscale or not, but if you can, it does have a certain look to it that I absolutely adore. So I gave the turret a coat of Pledge floor care afterwards so that I could get the decal and get the decal put on. You can use you can use clear, you can use clear lacquer. I prefer, because this stuff is cheap, to use this this Pledge floor care. So I gave it a coat of that, and then I needed some decals, and I used the decals from an M-47 Italieri kit, and you can see those black crosses are going to be exactly what I'm after on this particular kit. So I get those put on, I wait for them to dry, I go ahead and dull coat that whole thing, and they actually turned out good. I didn't need to use any decal solvent. So now we're going to move to the tarp that is on the top, and I've just taken some regular plain brown napkin, probably got it at McDonald's, someplace like that, just plain brown napkin, and I cut it to the size that I wanted. Folded the edges under and I used a little white glue on that to hold it. And then I went ahead and mixed up in a little cup some white glue. I used a greenish tan paint that I mixed in there as well. And I mixed that up, a little bit of water, just a little bit, and went ahead and applied that with a brush onto the napkin. Now, once that was dry, I went back with this dark Euro green from Testers and kind of dry brushed the whole thing while it's on the tank, and wanted to kind of give it a darker color with that little bit of a lighter base. And it did take a little while to dry, you know, good 6 hours. But the results, well, I think it turned out pretty good. It looks like looks like a tarp, and very similar to the one that is in the game. You can see the smoke dischargers. I actually took those out of an Academy. I think this was an M-51 kit that I used these from, but there's several like German Leopard kits out there that have perfect smoke dischargers you can use. Anyway, instead of putting 4, I only used 2. For the cupola, I decided to paint this Color by Boyd red in the vision slots because, well, it's a Hellhound. I wanted it to have red glowing eyes, you know. So here's the result. You look at the vision slots on the cupola, and well, they're kind of a nice bright metallic red, so kind of a scary look to it. I went ahead and I dry brushed the entire tank with that dark Euro green just to kind of catch some of the highlights. I decided to use that instead of a gray, even though the tank is black. I did want to kind of have a dark green look to it. So some of the final touches I did is I did find a little skull. This is a gear shift knob from a 1/25th scale model, and I did find this one skull, and I went ahead and put that on the hook on the chain on the front. In the game, you've actually got a couple of skulls, and someday I've got to get me some 1/35th scale skulls.
Ooh, all right. Well, let's take a look here at the pretty much final product. Here is the skull head that we put on the spike on the front, and our chain actually turned out, well, I think our chain turned out pretty darn good. This little funny little camo that I put there just as kind of my own little signature, but and here is, yeah, our tarp turned out good. Our smoke launchers turned out pretty darn good. Overall, well, oh yeah, I kind of like the I kind of like that red glowing interior there. Here, looking at the other side, how it turned out. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. So hopefully you folks will enjoy it too. And if you get an opportunity to pick one of these bad boys up, they're a lot of fun to play with. So thanks for joining us today.
The look of this tank is really, really neat. If you see one of these on the battlefield, run. They're very maneuverable. They're very, very fast. And what I found is the best way to play with them, because it does have this 90mm gun, and it's comparable to what the Tiger 1 has. And if you use it kind of as a sniper and roll and scoot really quick, because the armor on this thing isn't very good, and you can get tagged with a tier 9 or tier 10 tank, and it's game over real quick. So it makes a pretty darn good rolling, quick rolling sniper, kind of like an M18 on steroids, really. So hope you folks like looking at this build. This was a quick, easy, really fun one to do, and a great part of my World of Tanks collection. Thanks again for joining us.